Have you ever felt like you've been living abroad in France for too long, or that maybe you're adapting to your new culture a little too well? Well, to that end, there are some signs that will clue you in after a certain amount of time, and that's what I'm going to get into in today's video. So here are 15 signs you've been living abroad in France for too long. Alright, bonjour tout le monde, I'm Diane. Welcome back to We in France. Now, before I jump right into my list, just please know these are all lighthearted and for entertainment. Only you know if you've been living abroad somewhere too long. So with that, let's get right into number one. Okay, you start forgetting words that used to just come to you naturally in your mother tongue. So for me, English, you start saying things like practice sports or take a decision or explain me how you did that instead of explain to me. And this happens when you're not paying attention, you slip and you correct yourself. And even sometimes you'll throw in the occasional French word if you can't think of the English one right away. Number two, you forget how to spell everyday words in English and sometimes even catch yourself starting to write them the French way. For me, some of the biggest offenders are apartment. You pause to think about the spelling of words in your mother tongue sometimes. Another example is pharmacy, one with the IE and one with Y at the end, things like that. Okay, number three, when the line out the door at the bakery, la boulangerie, doesn't faze you anymore and it just seems normal to have one single cashier tending to the whole line on a busy Saturday morning. Number four, you visit home and tell someone, well, the doctor's on the third floor up. And then you realize you're counting like a European. You meant the fourth floor. And just a note, in the US, the ground floor is the first floor, and then one flight up is the second floor. Whereas in France, the ground floor is 0 in French. You'll see that on the elevator. Or the RDC, the rez-de-chaussée, that's the ground floor. If you go up a floor, that's the first floor in France. Okay, next, you find yourself making strange French noises in regular conversation, just like the natives. And you start saying things like, oh la la, I have a whole video on that actually, and a blog post on these French noises that I'll link below if you're curious. For me, some of the highlights are the raspberries, that when you don't know the answer to something, or this inhaled gasp that still startles me. And it kind of sounds like a breathy oui. And you'll hear it a lot just on the inhale. And in France, it indicates that you're agreeing with whatever the person is saying. It's not to startle you. And it kind of sounds like this. So like someone will be talking, blah, blah, blah. And instead of saying mm-hmm or yes, you go. And every time I hear my husband do that, when he's talking to his mom and you hear the, I'm like, whoa, what happened? Is everything okay? But that's just the oui, the yes, I get it, the agreement. I'm over-exaggerating here. It kind of sounds like hiccups, but if you've heard this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, I love these French noises because they're different than what we have in English. All right, next, you start to forget what good customer service is and you stop expecting it. And I will say, in France's defense, lately, the French seem to be improving in this area, or I've just gotten lucky because multiple people in the recent days have gone out of their way for me, including a pharmacist who helped me get my health pass. And that whole mess is linked above in a video I did. But an update to that video is that it ended well, and I got my health pass, much to my surprise, thanks to an amazing pharmacist. Okay, number seven, stressful appointments at the préfecture to deal with things like a residency card renewal. They just start seeming normal and you just roll with the fact that you're never gonna have all the right documents, all the right copies, and it's just a game that you now know how to play and you come prepared. So game on, French bureaucracy. Okay, next is you naturally start yielding to cars coming from the right without even having to think about it. This is called la priorité à droite, and it has become the norm for me. And I did an entire video about driving in France, so check that out, linked here. And it's just a way to be more prepared when you get behind the wheel in France. All right, next up, number 9, transportation strikes, and strikes in general, they don't get a rise out of you anymore. You just don't care. They're a bit of an inconvenience, but you accept them as just part of life in France. And you just shrug with the rest of them and you plan your day accordingly. All right, number 10, when you visit home and you say no fewer than 3 of the following to a cashier at a store, and they look at you like, okay, really polite lady. Things like, hello, thank you, have a good day, goodbye, just like you would in French. All right, number 11, you get so excited to see the comforts of home in France, like Starbucks and American food products and grocery stores. And this is especially true in bigger cities. And then actually, when you're back in your home country, things there surprise you because you're just not used to them anymore and everything French has become your norm. Okay, number 12, you go right to the dry goods aisle for your milk and your eggs in the French grocery store, and you completely bypass the refrigerated section out of habit. And you also know that the potato chips are not by the pretzels. Next up, 13, you don't even bat an eye at colleagues out at cafes or restaurants when they're out for 1.5 hours, even 2 hours for their lunch break. And that's during the week, and it's with wine. No big deal, normal. Next, you find it completely normal that shops are closed often during lunch hour, all day on Sundays, and even sometimes on Mondays too. And lastly, you rarely start sentences anymore with, well, back in the US, blah, 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 because you've stopped making comparisons, or at least out loud anyway. And that stage of culture shock ended years ago. All right, so tell me, can you relate to anything I've said here on my list? Do you have any more to add? I would love to hear from you down below in the comments. And also, let me point out, YouTube just rolled out a super thanks feature. You can find it right under the title of this video. It's a little gray icon. And super thanks is just a way YouTube has rolled out for subscribers to support the creators that they love. So if you enjoy my content, I'd love for you to check out the super thanks. Thank you so much. And your comment also gets highlighted at the top of the comment section, I believe. So thank you to Sally Lung and Bitan QF in Sweden for the super thanks. I'll give you a super merci. And also for those of you who watched my recent Health Pass Sanitaire video, I'll just link it here in case you don't know what that's about. The story does have a happy ending, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago. So yeah, just basically a few days ago, I successfully got my Health Pass. I pinned all the details to my Instagram story highlights if you want to check that out. I'm at WeInFrance on Instagram. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you right back here on We in France soon. Salut!